A lovely day to all of us, and I always like to start by asking, how are you? It is imperative because no one really is sure of anything as it is, because you wake up, you don't wake up, it's all in the hands of God. But I trust that if we do our own bit, do what we are supposed to do, the rest, which is left in the hands of God, it's definitely perfected through His directions. Today, we will be continuing what we started last week. We talked about the vaccine, it's still COVID-19, and a whole lot came out. Lines were all buzzing. A lot of questions came in. Unfortunately, we're not able to take even up to half of it. We promise you'll be right back today to do justice to all of that. And I have someone seated with me who will be taking dimension as a doctor, dimension as a whole lot of other things, policy makings and all that. But we have a tradition here. My name is Elizabeth, so I'll let him introduce himself by himself. So the audience want to know your name.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, let me thank you for finding me worthy to be invited to this important program, and also to commend the entire management and staff of Nigerian Television Authority for the good work we have been doing in trying to educate Nigerians and all over as it relates to topical issues and our culture and tradition. My name is Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu. I'm a member of House of Representatives, 9th Assembly, and I chaired the House Committee on Healthcare Services. I represent Yauri-Shende in the Skiforo constituency, and I'm from Kebbi State.
All right. Thank you very much. We intentionally invited you because we know you are involved with the, Committee of Health, and that tells us you have, ample information to give to Nigerians when it comes to the area of policy making. But before we get all that, like I mentioned last week, a lot of questions came up. We've been able to, pick some of them and try to find out certain answers as at now. But those questions, you and I are going to, masticate a little bit when it's done. Let's see a compilation Diary was able to put together for us with regards to the, very important questions people asked last week. Let's see it.
Here are some important questions and answers that have actually been given by science before considering getting vaccinated. If I get vaccinated, can I stop wearing a mask? Science says no. If I get vaccinated, will the restaurants, bars, schools, fitness clubs, hair salons, and other non-essential services reopen? And will people be able to get back to work like normal? Science says no. If I get vaccinated, will I be resistant to COVID? Science says no. If I get vaccinated, at least I won't be contagious to others, right? Science says no. The vaccine doesn't stop transmission. If I get vaccinated, how long will the vaccine last? Science says no one knows. If I get vaccinated, can I stop social distancing? Science says no. If my parents, grandparents, and myself all get vaccinated, can we hug each other again? Science says no. If I am pregnant, can I take the vaccine? Science says no. If I am breastfeeding, can I take the vaccine? Science says no. Are you sure the vaccine won't injure or kill me? Science says no guarantees. So what's the benefit of getting vaccinated?
A whole lot is said, and doctor is seated here with us to give us the benefit of taking this vaccine. So I'll quickly start from the last question and throw it back at you. That's some questions people asked us last week. What is my benefit? By the way, you haven't had your own vaccine?
Yeah, I'm vaccinated and I'm waiting for my second jab.
Okay, I've actually had my own too.
Yes.
So I'm waiting for the second one. So what is the benefit?
Well, let me just start by saying that, vaccination generally, apologies to those who are in the special field of immunology, virology, and the rest, because I'm a gynecologist. But as a general practitioner, before becoming a specialist, one has a little bit of knowledge of vaccination. Now, we ask our question, what is the aim of vaccination? Vaccination is aimed at building herd immunity in a community. You understand? Where the immunity is very low, the susceptibility of people to develop infection, and then their susceptibility to go into severe cases is extremely high. And the rate of transmission among individuals is also very high. So that's just a summary of the little concept of this. Now, if you try to relate that to the vaccine, in a vaccination is a way of trying to stimulate the body to prepare itself by getting soldiers that will attack the organism that you are trying to vaccinate against when next you contact it. For example, if you have organism A, you try to render it a little bit harmless, so that when you introduce that organism A into a body, it will not cause, or it may not cause infection that is there. It will now elicit the body to produce antibody. And that antibody are the soldiers of the body. So that when next that organism that is now harmful came into one body, your body is already naturally prepared to react. Unlike when it's coming for the first time.
Okay.
Before the actions comes, the organism will cause serious damage. So that's the essence. So now when you receive vaccination against COVID-19, it is expected that your body will be able to develop antibody against COVID-19 virus. So that when one is infected, we don't pray so, the body can be able to react, and they tailor the reaction of the body to either not develop the disease completely or to make it in a milder form. That instead of having so many people requiring ICU and ventilators to support their respiration and others, or going into severe disease, you now get people with milder disease, that while they are infected, they can still do their normal activities without going into severe cases. Okay. And what is the economic implication of that? Less number of people will be in ICU, and therefore translating less cost to the healthcare services. Lesser people will be in a hospital. Hospital stay will be shortened, making available for bed space to be more for other people to utilize. It also make it much easier to the family in trying to manage somebody who is in ICU compared to somebody who is being managed as outpatient or who is being managed in a semi-equipped isolation centers. You understand?
Yes.
And by and large, the transmission pattern or rate of that disease is also lowered. Because body has learned to now react and identify coronavirus or any other virus that is vaccinated against as a foreign and dangerous and will prevent it. It's just like now, country may not be at war, but countries spend so much billions of naira to intensify its defense mechanism. And those soldiers were trained to identify who is enemy. And once enemy comes, all they need is to react and then bring it this. Otherwise, without such defense worldwide, in every independent country, the world will have been in so many wars. So that's why if we vaccinate, the war with our body will have to this is general.
So it's just saying that that you're taking it does not mean you will not get it, but the effect will be less. It's like when we have the measles.
Possibility. It may assist you not to get it. It may assist you to get it. To also assist you to make the case mild.
Yes.
With less severe cases.
Yeah, I think it's getting clearer because I know that I had my measles jab as a kid. But as a grown-up, I still had a bit of it,
Yes.
but it wasn't that bad anymore. So we're not scared of going
so,
to.
So that's the
yes.
essence
Okay,
of the,
I guess that's how it works.
Yeah.
The good thing is you said you're a gynecologist. That's your area of socialization after the general medicine. And a lot of people have actually written to us asking about the women who are pregnant, women who are lactating, what is their case. And I recall when I went to take mine, those questions were asked, and I wasn't in any of those categories, so I got it. So what is the implication for a pregnant woman? I'm sure there are people who may not really bother. They say, okay, let me just take it. It will protect me and my child. What are the implications, and why are they not being given to them?
So you see, science, especially the practice of medicine, is about being safe. It's about don't do harm. It's one of the ethical provisions of medicine. You should not do harm.
Okay.
You understand? Doing harm requires that you must have available information, knowledge base, and what have you to ensure that whatever you are going to do, you are not going to inflict harm. And this harm, it could be to even the non-living person, a dead person. If you are to remove his organ without authorization, it's doing harm to the body. If it's an adult, you are giving him something that you don't have much knowledge about it, all this you should not do harm. So the literature so far has not addressed the issue of how pregnant women
Can cope with
respond to COVID immunization.
Okay.
We don't have the knowledge to say that, okay, since we don't have group of number of women that were vaccinated to follow them and see what is their disease. We don't know the antibody may either cross the placenta and then
Get to
gets
the
the
child.
baby, or could it be possible even the harmless organism that you are now introducing in your vaccination may also cross and cause harm to the body, to the baby. So because we don't have that pool of literature to support its vaccination, the issue is that let's play safe. And by playing safe, it means you restrict such group of people to being immunized. Let me give an example. At times, restriction can come because of over time study. There was a drug that was used sometimes back to, I think, to treat either I think it's early abortion, to stop early abortion, if I can remember. We call it thalidomide. Now, over a period of administration, they realized that babies that were delivered either have one hand absent, one finger absent, we call it pecomelia. So when that study accrued and find that all those is higher, the development of such problems is higher in those who took, even if they are isolated cases in society, but it's higher among those people who took thalidomide. And they call all the general manifestation that appears after taking that drug and baby is delivered as thalidomide syndrome. Completely, it was withdrawn from the market. You understand? Completely.
I never even heard of the drug before.
Yeah?
I never even heard of a drug before. Anyway.
Yes, it's no more in use. So it's only those historical perspectives that will be told. And all these are being mentioned so that we can be as much as safe as possible in trying to administer drug to a pregnant woman.
Okay, now
because they are dealing with two individuals now. Okay. The baby as an entity, that's in the womb, the embryo as an entity, and then the mother herself. And then they are interrelated. The baby depends wholly on the mother for survival. Now, along the line, the food nutrients that are getting to the baby, if you have something that the baby cells cannot cope with, get across at the time of development, they may affect some areas that organ will develop. So that you see, if it is affect the area that will transform into eye, it may be born blind. If it is the hand, so these are these. So all this issue is that while you are trying to protect society, you must know that what you don't have knowledge, especially as it affects the upcoming generation, you must be extra careful to ensure that harm is not done.
All right. Now, still speaking of pregnant women and ability to protect them, from unknown consequences of a vaccine, do we have known consequences of the effect of COVID-19 virus itself on the baby when the mother is carrying? I mean, if I were pregnant and I contract it, would my child be affected? Do we have any record like that?
You see, to my knowledge, I cannot say I've come along the a situation like that, really. But we just have to look at it. The overall manifestations of the COVID-19 itself may affect this thing. When you have a high, very extreme fever, you understand? It may affect into the pregnancy itself. When you have a situation whereby the mother will require oxygen through ventilators and rest, and or any other source of oxygen like oxygen mask and intubation, all these are issues that are distant. The possibility of the woman going into premature labor may all be there because of the actual effect on her body. You understand? But say that the virus itself can cross and cause congenital malformation. That is structural defect at time of birth. I've not come across that literature, and I wouldn't want to say that it does or it doesn't, because you have to say something based on knowledge. It's possible currently, the only thing we also have to understand that COVID-19 is a novel disease. It's a novel virus, so much research is ongoing. In fact, what saves us much is that it comes at a time when the technology is at peak. You understand? Everything that can take over 3, 4, 5 years now, with technology, you can shorten the pattern and the trend to ensure that it can be done in three months, for example.
Now, we're already done with the pregnant women. I'm sure nobody will be asking this question again. But let's move to the lactating mothers, that's the breastfeeding women. The baby is off the womb. The baby is breastfeeding.
Yes.
If I, had the jab of the vaccine, what's the link between that and the breast milk?
Yes, the link between that is it's all about sustainability and the capacity of cells in terms of maturity to withstand challenges, external. You understand? Everybody knows we have two extremes of ages. The youngest, the lower age group, and the higher age group.
Okay.
And by our own knowledge, we know that our response to infection is not the same. If you take, for example, a baby of 3 months, and then an old man of 90 years, for example, and then a middle-aged man of 24 years, and then you subject them to the same condition, I do know that you all agree that their response will be different.
Definitely.
Because of their extreme of ages. Now, for the baby, when the immunity is very, very low, could it be that the fear that and then it's also independent of breast milk. So we need to know what is in the content of that milk that the baby is taking and how it affects him. You understand? So we don't have that knowledge. So without that knowledge, they say that when you are breastfeeding, stay safe, stay away.
Okay.
You understand? So that whatever the baby is taking from the mother will not likely unduly affect the baby negatively. So this is all our scientists. But you see, we are today where we are. In the next few months or years, because research is ongoing daily by daily, the WHO may come with the conclusion that, do you know that it is safe to give a pregnant woman?
Yes.
Did you know that it is like lactating breast women can be given?
Like I hear that the age of those who can receive it have actually come down a little bit more.
So these are the issues, because it's research-based this thing. So the issue is that it's not good to rush when you don't have the knowledge to do it. Because in sciences, is the risk versus benefit. It generally is principle of medicine. Risk versus benefit. Where the benefit outweighs the risk. You understand? We say go ahead and give. And now the risk is pregnant women coming down with the coronavirus. Now, how many of them have come that we have studied? So since they are not a large number, but if you say down that we don't pray, and I hope it will not happen like that, say that out of 100 pregnant women, 80 or so are coming down with the coronavirus. Then there should be a factor in them that's predisposing them to coming down with coronavirus. And at that instant now, we now say, since the mortality usually may be high because of the pregnancy itself, now the WHO can now come into conclusion that since the risk, that's a higher level of infection is much compared to the possibility of effect of vaccination to them. We now say, okay, immunize pregnant women. But we have not reached that level. It's still low. So, but you cannot stop it. From time to time, we can also gather knowledge. Incidentally or inadvertently, you can have a pregnant woman being immunized. If we have such number very big without this in large, and it's reviewed among them, it's not that they are subjected in trial, it's inadvertently. You understand? Okay. So if they have a large number and then nothing happened to their babies, then the science will say, okay, go ahead and do it. So, but for now, we don't have any information. And the highest thing one can adopt, which is the WHO, is also at the WHO is at the, for us to adopt is to adapt the stand of WHO on health issues. And
all right,
they said,
so
please do not immunize pregnant women. And
that, I'm sure that we have taken care of that, deeply. And a lot of those questions that are here are all related. So I'll skip those ones and go to new ones. Elder Abuchi Ikegwonu from Mkpa Bende local government area of Abia State says, my question is, 1, if I am not affected by COVID-19 and I take the vaccine, is that not drug abuse?
You see, you are putting me in a very hot seat because, as I said, it's not really my this thing. No, it wasn't an abuse. It wouldn't be called as a drug abuse because the WHO and the whole study has established the fact that there is benefit in vaccination, and that's why so much money is being pumped into it. There is benefit in vaccination. So even if you didn't develop the disease and you took it, it means that you are trying to derive the benefit of not getting it, or when you have it, it becomes much lesser in terms of severity. So therefore, it cannot be considered as drug abuse.
Okay.
You see?
That's
drug abuse is inappropriate taking of medication.
Yes. Of course, when we're all small, we all had our BCG, polio, not because we had a disease. And that was to protect us from getting it.
And you see, if you even look at it now, gone are the days before when in Nigeria it was a serious tug of war, serious fight to administer polio vaccine. And today we are celebrating that
polio-free.
It's a good history that Nigeria is declared polio-free. So that's easy.
So one day we'll celebrate.
Yes, the issue is knowledge and acceptability of things comes over time with experience. If people see that over time, people that took, I know of a lot of my friends that is no. I've convinced them, please go and take your jab. They said no. If we have over 5,000 or 10,000 Nigerians who took their jab and no things, then I'll go and take it. And now they have took their medicine and they are eager to receive their second doses.
Actually, somebody already said here, why won't Nigerians wait and observe other people before they begin to take? And you already answered that.
No, but you see, this question is not only that. You see, we are dealing with a global world. If Nigeria say, okay, let us stand and watch, we are not taking. Many people then now come down with it, and we lost so many people. And then our healthcare is not resilient enough. You understand? To respond to shock. The more we have admission, the more the country's economy will go down, the more you have this thing. So we watch. And then global politics too. Inter-country travel is now this thing. For example, now, just of recent, in the last few years, even the NAHACO, National Hajj Commission, made it clear. The Saudi authority says, get your 2 doses or
before you come.
Your Hajj. So should we say now we are going to take that position? You see, the leadership is about trust. Those of them in the organ who are leaders must take it as a trust and weigh the benefit and the risk. Nigeria cannot be in isolation of international politics. We can't. And in fact, just consider when our borders were closed, virtually all the West African countries are affected. Their economy has gone down seriously. And with every cry that it should be open. Now it's open. So many in and out is coming. Our economy is going up, everything that is existing. So shouldn't we get ourselves protected? So
we should, definitely. So this vaccine, is it free? Some people are saying that you need to pay to get it, but I didn't pay. I don't know if you paid. It was free for me.
Nobody needs to pay to get the vaccine. And let me be frank with generally.
All right, so I know
any vaccine outside the one delivered to Nigerians certified by NAFDAC, and delivered to Nigerian by National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, as at today, it's not a vaccine. It should be anything else, but not vaccine. Even if it is vaccine, it's fake vaccine. Because it's well regulated that you as an individual, you cannot go and import for your family and bring it to the country. You cannot. And vaccine has been there for very decent. And the government has put in machineries to ensure that whatever is coming into this country is first of all tested to find to be safe in terms of toxicology, and then approval granted for it to be utilized for Nigerians.
I'm going to take you up on that, but let's quickly reiterate what you just said, that the vaccine is free via this.
Address it.
Okay, now you know it is free. And while it was going on, I was still trying to look at some of the questions and share them with my guests. Doctor, I think this particular question, I have more than 3 of it. And let's see, we'll take it. I'm still looking at you as under your capacity as a doctor. I'll still move back to your capacity as an honorable member later. Somebody's asking here, actually 3 people, what will this vaccine affect my male organ when I take it?
Well, you see, as I made mention earlier, I'm not a specialist in the field, but we on daily basis, we review literatures. Because by my fact that I'm a doctor, and also by the fact that I chaired a committee on health, and I also have an advisory role in policy making, and also my constitutional right to legislate on health matters. So these 4 issues will always allow me to expand my knowledge so that I cannot just be sitting like that. So to my knowledge, I've not come across COVID vaccine affecting manhood. And you see, one thing with the COVID itself is a disease that suffers so much misinformation and information. Some information are correct when you get it from the reliable sources. Misinformation in the sense that everybody can stay in his own room and type information and say it's coming from Oxford, it's coming from a doctor in India, it's coming from a doctor in Germany, in his own room.
A doctor in Nigeria.
Yes. No, not even a doctor. Just say this and you share it. So. And then, because of the advantage of social media, it became viral, and then you hardly convince people that that is not a correct information. Social media has made it a fact that most of the actual fact became less viral compared to the fake news. So that's the problem now. And that is more or less much better in COVID-19. Somebody can even stay in his room, dramatize situation, get himself this and then share it up. And then we also have a lot of global politics here and there. You understand? Even among the companies themselves, one will try to outsmart the other, and all these things are issues. So the information as it relates to COVID, we must be very, very careful to ensure that we are getting it from an authentic source of information. Which
is why we actually institute this topic for this program, to ensure that the public is completely, guided well. I'm tempted to also ask, would it have side effects on the womanhood. But let me drop that question and move on. Under your capacity as a policy maker and a chairman of a health committee, I'd like to know, a question someone asked, and I'm throwing it back to you. Why did Nigeria decide to take the AstraZeneca we're using now instead of the other ones? Is it better for us?
You see, still in science, when we go back, we look at cost versus benefit, risk versus benefit. If you have these two concepts, then you'll be able to navigate and find which one you will afford. For example, if you have a drug, that logistic of getting the drugs to where you are going to administer and give it may drain your economy so much, and then may take it very difficult for it to go round, and then will provide the effect of almost, let's say, 80 or 90%. And then you have another one, that logistic is very, very minimal. It won't affect your economy in terms of this thing. Very easy to handle and distribute, and may have an effect of almost 70 to 80%. You now look at it. You want to achieve 70% herd immunity. Which one will you go for? If you go to the Pfizer vaccine, you need a temperature of minus 80 degrees.
Oh, wow, and that's
for
most
storage.
Possible for us in Nigeria.
For storage. In a country that you are not sure of area in this country that you can say you can get 24 hours electricity supply for 30 consecutive days uninterrupted. You understand? And then if you have that, that's this thing, and you need a specialized freezers to cater for 200 million people. If you want to immunize 120 million, and then you also distribute it at that lower temperature, you are now left with, can you afford it? In terms of the cost.
Yes.
Costs will now determine where you go. If you answer no, I need to spend maybe 1 trillion naira to go around to do that. For example, I'm just citing an example.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the exact figure. And you now look at and you put it, a bit weigh it to your own economy. Can you afford it? If your answer is no, when you say you are initiating a program that is likely to fail, and that program will not see the light of the day. Now, if you say this one, you can spend 5 or 10 billion. That can easily be our decision. And it's because it's also cheaper and it's effective. You have donor bodies that are ready to give you such. And then you also have your own ability to also go out and procure it. Then you say, okay, let's do it. But we cannot say we are in the world today. Our economy can suddenly change. Nothing's this. We just enter into recession. And just like magic, the World Health Organization declared Nigeria out of magic. So if that magic that are blessing to the country continue to multiply in multiple fold, I think not only, even if it is minus 120, we may be able to afford it. And then the policy can change. And that's why for the COVID, whether you like it or you don't like it, whether you agree to commend or you don't agree, you must commend the Presidential Task Force for diligently working to advise Nigerians on what to procure, how to procure it, and even how to conduct ourselves. And I think so far, there is no aspect that government is involved, that people are carried along and fully educated, except if you want to not agree with them. That has, for me, received an excellent percentage of coverage like COVID, Presidential Task Force role in COVID-19. And they sat down, we sat down with them. They analyzed, they also seek for our distance. And every 3-month quarterly review, we are invited and we used to be there, so that to tell us where we have doubt. These are the issues. These are the problems. And these are solutions that we have arrived at based on the country's affordability. And you see, even the restrictions, when initially they restricted, people started crying. So that to know that they are not punishing Nigeria. Now that the infection rate is below 100, you can see they have lessened a lot of issues. So,
as at yesterday, I think it was 44. But speaking about coverage, somebody says here, good morning. How would it be possible for those at the rural areas to be vaccinated? This person says his name is Comrade Lakia and Art. Thank you.
this is a very excellent question because every Nigerian will want to worry about those in rural areas, especially for those of us who are voted by people and represent people. I will have loved my people to be vaccinated first before myself. But then we are not talking of acceptability. A lot will not trust it when they say that president did not take it. Vice president did not take it. Speaker did not take it. You understand? So you must cite a good example, leadership by example. That's one. Two, you must also note who are your foot soldiers. Who are your foot soldiers? Just like now, if there is a problem now and you cannot go to certain area because of this thing, the government will provide vehicle to carry soldiers to there. And they cannot only send them there, they will arm them to go and fight. So it's the same scenario is applying to COVID. It's a war against the world. So we have to know who are our foot soldiers. And let's add what? Our medical healthcare professional in the country who exposed themselves to an extreme risk in an attempt to save the life of individual. And I think I will have to commend every health worker in Nigeria and also to give them a statement of ovation that really they have served this country. A lot of hours are run out of the country, but many of them, seniors, still remain in the country despite the challenges and whatever, and they decided to remain and work for Nigeria. So their effort must be recognized. And I'm giving them a credit, generally every health worker in Nigeria, for taking maximum risk. You see, so they have to be protected first.
Yes.
If you didn't protect your first line of defense, you're not going to hospital and you find that most of the beds are occupied by health workers rather than the patients themselves. So, and that's why the WHO came with the policy. And it's adapted in Nigeria that look, in your first line of this. Then you also go to the most vulnerable groups. The most vulnerable groups. You understand? Who are easily likely to develop the infection. It may be because of their age. It may be because of their sex. It may be for anything. Just put it vulnerable disease. It may be because of their profession. You take care of them. Because there is still a scarcity of the vaccine world over. As we are going, more is being produced. Affordability is becoming, accessibility is becoming much easier, and then definitely in the nearest this year, very soon, the federal government is going to present the supplementary budget, which will now factor everyone that is supposed to be vaccinated. But the most important now is also to be able to work and convince Nigerians, especially those on the rural areas, to see that the vaccine, a lot of our leaders have so far received the vaccine. If they are monitoring, none of them develop any side effect of this thing, because I assure you, if any leader develop a side effect,
it will be news.
It will be known all over. So that shows that from deduction, you can deduce from the number of leaders that have so far received the drug, the injection, without any adverse drug action. That's for what we have in Nigeria is safe.
That's good. All right. So Joyce says she's writing in from Asaba. And he says, in Asaba, where can I get my own vaccine? And she also added, I think this vaccine should be distributed to healthcare centers everywhere to enable people get them. I'm particularly impressed that someone is anxiously wanting to take it, because one of the things I took away from our opinion last week was that a lot of Nigerians are still very skeptical, but she is in Asaba and she wants it in all healthcare centers. I know that a lot of states have actually taken theirs, and if you go to the ministries, you'll be able to find out where.
I think the pattern of distribution, it is handed to the state, and the state is handed it to State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, who are now saddled with responsibility of vaccinating. So I think she can liaise with people of the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency. They will direct her to this. And as you quite said, hesitancy, that's the lack of desire to go and take it. As far as we are concerned now, is the major issue. And I believe that I must also thank the Executive Director of National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. He is addressing the issue of hesitancy zone by zone. Just yesterday, I received a letter from his office inviting me to a meeting of multi-stakeholders to address hesitancy on the Northwest. Major key players are invited so that we can look at what are the people concerned, what are this thing, how do you alleviate their concern, how do you try to convince them this thing. Just as what happened to polio vaccine. You know that one, it has become in such a way that there are some houses that you see people holding cutlass. Come close to my house and something will happen. But today, everybody later on realized that there is benefit. And how did they come to? When they see over times, cripples are reducing in the country. Babies are not this. So people say, okay, really, there is a direct relationship between polio and crippled state of a born baby. And people now gradually begin to accept it. And today we are celebrating. So I do hope that even with this, but we definitely as leaders and as major stakeholders, we work hard to ensure that we try to encourage people. And one thing is, which the government has accepted, no forcing you to take it. But we'll convince you with the reason on why you should take it. And a lot of people are beginning to change their attitude towards taking the immunization. And many people, and that's why you now have people requesting knowledge to go where to go.
You know, I'm going to stop looking at you as a doctor and look at you as an honorable member and ask more questions within that territory. You represent a community, and I know within that community there are a lot of people who are still skeptical. As a man who is not just medically, enlightened, but a man who is also a mouthpiece for these people, legislating for them, how much effort are you and indeed other people making to reach out to your constituency to ensure that you reorientate them and get them to, move forward towards getting healthier?
You see, mine is very, very simple, and I prayed if any other member or senator can have the situation I find myself, it will have been much, much easier.
Really? What's the situation?
Because the local government I represent constituted Yauri Emirate. That's Ingeski Shanga and Yauri itself. And it's Yauri Emirate. And Emirate is usually headed by an emir. So why I said so, my emir is a former vice chancellor, is a microbiologist.
Wow.
And he knew so much about virology. And that is also his special field. You understand? So he took it upon himself to lead the advocacy for administration of the vaccine. And he took it publicly and instructed all his council members to also take it. And virtually all the other leaders in my country. And that's why the hesitancy is there much less. And let me tell you, even before the vaccine, in terms of social distancing, if you ask anybody in my constituency that says you have something to go to do to Emir's Palace, the first thing that person will do, where will I get a chemist or a pharmacy that I can buy face mask?
Face mask.
Yes. And
because he knows he will not be allowed in.
He has never allowed anybody to go into his palace without face mask. He has never appeared public without use of face mask. So you cannot go there, you have to wash your hands and sanitize. So all the recommendation by NCDC is adopted by him, and therefore it descended down to the Timina Edison. So with that, it becomes very much easier. And that's why we are definitely for us, and I keep on telling, even the PTF I told him, you see, when you succeed along the line, and the similar situation find herself, trace yourself backward and follow that same pattern. If that one has since it's not bad, so if you are doing bad and you keep on repeating it, you won't succeed. But you see, what I mean by this, for us to succeed, to fight polio, especially in the northern part of the country, we allowed the traditional rulers to champion the cause of fighting against polio. So because they are closer to the people and they educate in a cultural way, people find them more acceptable than the one that will now come and have what they may consider as European approach or any other this thing. So when they lead, the acceptability becomes this thing. The hesitancy gradually winds down, and then acceptability started rising. And in the shortest possible time, they are this thing. And even now, we must go back and see how we can incorporate them to be part and parcel of fight against COVID, and assign them a role that is respectful of them. So that when they play that role, I assure you people will get this thing.
All right, so you champion with the traditional leaders to ensure that the people get to understand the need for them to fight COVID and take the vaccine.
And that's my recommendation.
I also know that, we all know that the fathers are always a voice we must listen to. But I also know that the religious leaders also play a role. I have heard some, religious leaders, try to counter it.
I can't agree with you. You see, when you say a traditional council, Emir is the head.
Okay.
And no council that doesn't have a religion leader in it.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
Because those religious leaders are also indirectly
linked up
under the council itself. So it's a multifactorial approach. Look, you cannot be a very senior cleric or a very senior Islamic teacher, any this and this. And you cannot say that when your Emir call you or your Oba or Eze call you, you cannot come. Because some of them are part of the council. Mm-hmm. Because the council need to be advised culturally and religiously. They have religious advisors. No Emir or no Oba or Eze will not say you will not have, even if you go where the predominant religion is. Let's say if you go to areas where predominant religion is Christianity, you still have the Muslim there being represented. If you go to this area, the Islam is the predominant religion there. Mm. You also have those other interest groups also reflected in that council. Mm-hmm. Because if you go to you can have somebody that will call Sarkin Igbo, Sarkin Yoruba, that's the chief of Igbo, the chief of Yoruba, in my own constituency too. You understand? And they also have advisory role. The emir will call them and ask them, what is the interest of your people? What are their problems? How do they also help the society they are standing? How do you increase cohesion and relative stay in peace? Or even absolute if we can get it. Do you understand? So they are part of the...
All right, so I'm glad to know that within your constituency, the advocacy is high, and I also know that with what you've just said, compliance will also be high. Now, still picking from your portfolio as an honorable member, and of course, the man chairing the state of affairs when it comes to Committee of Health, a lot of us Nigerians are scared of fake vaccine coming in. As at now, we don't have any, but a lot of us are rushing to take it now because we don't know about tomorrow. I don't know, but are there rules, are there provisions being made to ensure that we don't get to ever have this happen? Because if we take the wrong one, we actually get to, rather than, live healthier, we get to kill ourselves.
Yes, you see, that's why I told you that we have this, we have to... One, no vaccine can come into this country except through National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. And that's first principle. No vaccine can come to this country except through National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. I mean, you go and buy a million of these, it has to come. And no vaccine imported by National Primary Healthcare Development Agency can be utilized in this country without approval of NAFDAC.
So it's hand in hand to ensure that we maintain standards.
And NAFDAC cannot just sit down in her office, in their office and give you an approval. They must work to ensure that the vaccine is safe for national development.
That's good.
And let me tell you that something is just policy. There are some. Let me tell you, this system has helped because there is no way custom will allow you to bring it. There is no way. Even though people will say, well, yes, we have porous borders. But when you come into the country, there is surveillance that is ongoing. With that surveillance, continuous surveillance, and then the fact that also there is enforcement, there is re-strategizing and reorganization of enforcement unit of NAFDAC, things are becoming very, very difficult for somebody to dream of bringing in vaccine. Anybody that wants to bring vaccine must liaise with the Primary Healthcare Development Agency. And National Primary Healthcare Development Agency is guided by policy, and they cannot go out of this policy. You see, it just have to be very strict like that, because without being too strict, we don't know what people will import into the country. That may even deny people to accept the right one.
Honestly.
So that's this thing, and that is this. I'm telling you, I'm fully involved and I'm fully informed.
I'm reassured
And one
again.
thing, let me tell you one thing. All those that knew me, I stand by the country's regulation.
That's good to know.
Anything that is in the extant law, I stand it. There was a case that I won't mention it publicly, but I stood by them, and I always stand by that, because we must safeguard the health of our people.
It's important.
We must do it, because the position we are now is just a trust, and it's over time. So what is needed for you is to do the best you can, so that in future, you either remember yourself as you have done the right thing, or people remember you in your absence that, look, when he was there, he has done that. And I think that's the guiding principle.
All right, I will soon be packing up to go, but let me quickly see. Godwin from Plateau State is asking, if I take the vaccine, how long will it last? I think for now we just take 2, and that is at interval of 3 months in Nigeria for now, or 10 to 12 weeks. So it depends on what time is given to you, but I don't know when the next one will
I
be.
think
Is this supposed to be
he's trying
last?
to ask how long will the immunity
Last.
last. Is it for life? Is it that in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years he has
need to take another one.
Take another one?
Yes.
That, as we go, Sani will explain us that to us.
Okay, like you
Because
mentioned,
we have to
it's still
monitor people
novel.
over time.
Yes.
What is their level of antibody as of today? After giving, after 4 months, after 3 years, after so like. So it's just a scientific this thing.
All right.
We'll answer that question.
Okay, thank you
But
so much.
finally, let's summarize. If I'm to summarize, I will have say that I've accepted. I have took the vaccine myself, and I'm convinced from the literature I've reviewed
That is good.
and the local findings as of today that the vaccine is safe.
All right, thank you so much. We got to go at this point, and I don't need anybody asking questions again. Please, if you haven't taken it, just go there. Do yourself a favor. It's for you, not for me. Do it. Just go and get it. Bye.